Hey, it's Terrie Carr. Thanks for checking out my web series. I bring in the artists and we chat. New, classic, and everyone in between. In this episode, I hang with a legend, Gene Simmons. We talk about his solo band and shows, the Kiss debut, his love of British bands, family roots, inspirations, and more, and have a lot of fun in the process. Let's go. So I'm super psyched to be with him. I've got the God of Thunder. I've got the Demon. You don't look demon today, though. You look very handsome today.
Aye.
You do. I mean, you're so well put together. You look very Gene Simmons, like bigger than life.
You don't think I look like Richard Simmons?
No. Although I would love to see you jumping around in short shorts with tan legs, but that's a whole other story. So before we start with the shows, I want to talk about your band.
Yeah.
Because I think that everybody's talking about these fan experiences, and we're going to get to that. But I love your band. When I see the clips of you out with the Gene Simmons Band, it's a tight band and a loose show. And I don't think rock and roll gets any better than that. You've got the Tish in your band, Brian Tishy, our Jersey's own, our brother, our good friend. Talk to me about the Gene Simmons Band.
Well, it happened, life actually happens to you while you're busy making your plans. So I had no plans. About a year and a half ago, Pop House, a big, amazing company, bought Kiss. And we were happy to do that. 50 years of running around on stage and everything. It's enough. And some bands, by the way, should get off the stage. When they do big spectacles and everything. After a while, you want to quit while you're on top. We did the right thing. And Pop House and we have been working behind the scenes on amazing projects that have never been experienced before anywhere for anything. It's a few steps ahead of virtual reality glasses. Imagine virtual reality happens without glasses. The only way I can describe it. It's unbelievable. But so we're busy doing that, and I've got restaurants and, film company and a lot of stuff to keep me busy, but nothing like being on stage. It's as much fun I can have with my pants on. I gave you a little pregnant pause. Are we allowed to say pregnant pause?
You're allowed to say pants on. You're allowed to say pants off. You're allowed to say pregnant pause. All right. Continue, Demon, please.
Continue. And so I get a phone call out of the blue from a huge promoter in South America. Hey, Gene, do you want to headline the Sao Paulo Summerfest?
Wow.
Big outdoor festival. I'm going, yeah, sounds like a lot of fun. Can I play whatever I want and everything? Sure. So I'm in, and then realized I didn't have a band. Kiss has stopped touring, and that's the way it should go. And decided to call a guy named Brent Woods, who I've done demos with and has a studio, killer musician. He's played with everybody, the guys from Foo Fighters and
Vince Neil,
and
Sebastian, everybody. Everybody knows him. Guys. Great player.
And a great player, yeah. And I said, you want to go out and do some shows? I didn't plan for this, but it's happening. You want to put together a band? So he called Brian Tishy, and then we found another lead guitar player who's an excellent vocalist, Jason Walker, who, and by the way, all the guys in the band get their turn in singing lead. Jason sounds like Robert Plant. He's got that, that thing. So we're doing 3-part harmonies and a lot of heavy stuff. So the sets are made up of the tunes you want to hear, rock and roll all night, I Love It Loud, stuff like that. But then we veered deep into stuff that nobody's ever played, literally. Like some of the tunes I wrote that Kiss never recorded, never played live, song called Are You Ready? And I think there's some videos of one of the shows where we played it live. And then, a long time ago, before you were born, I discovered a band called Van Halen and took them into the studio in 1978.
I've heard the stories.
Yes. And while we're recording and everything, doing 15 songs, which wound up being the crux. Now, that's a word most people don't use anymore, crux, of the first and second record. And one of the songs they never recorded and they never played live, literally. And it happens to be the steamroller of all Van Halen songs called House of Pain. Now, I know there's a House of Pain song that the band recorded, but it ain't the same song.
It's not that song. Okay.
No, no, no. It's a steamroller, and you can Google and schmoogle, press one of those silly buttons on your tech stuff, and look up Van Halen demo, Gene Simmons, House of Pain, and you'll hear the original, bootleggers got the original tape and everything, and you'll hear the original song, and you'll go, wow, never heard Van Halen like that. So we do it live. Van Halen never did. We do it live. And, I tried an experiment. When I was a kid and I first heard And Your Bird Can Sing by the Beatles, most people don't know what that, the younger you are, you wouldn't know what it is. It was before Detroit Rock City and the twin guitar harmony parts, before Boys Are Back in Town, those harmony guitar parts. It's the Beatles doing that, starting off the entire song with, kind of harmonic guitar stuff going on, almost like a symphony. We do it live, and it rocks.
Wow.
It's really interesting. And the other thing is I can pull people up on stage to enjoy being on stage with us because we don't have flash pods and fireballs on stage.
Yeah.
If I pulled you up during the Kiss show, you'd be a shish kebab.
Yeah, and the insurance liability would be crazy. Like you could never do that.
You used big words like gymnasium, but yes, liability.
Well, Gene's always thinking. I mean, like Gene's not going to do anything crazy and silly, and that's what we love about you. You're the thinking man's rock star. We've got 2 shows, by the way, in Jersey, so I'm super psyched. We've got you at the Count Basie in Red Bank, and that show comes up on Monday, and then we've got you at the Wellmont in Montclair, and that show comes up on Tuesday. That's about 3 miles from me, so that's going to be my show of choice. I cannot wait to see you. I cannot wait to see this band.
Wait a minute. You're going to be at the second show?
I'll be at the second show.
Now, I warn you, if you're close to the stage,
yes,
I'm going to pull your little butt up on stage with me. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
You'll have to dress appropriately in your little nun outfit.
Okay. I have one of those. I think I might have 2 of those. Which one do you want? The red one or the black one?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I will definitely do that. Okay. That would be look, I'm a Kiss kid. I've had you at the station, many times over the years. It's been a while since you've been out there, but I'm a Kiss kid. So anytime I get to chat with you or, think, gosh, I could be pulled on stage by Gene, I still go back to that kid who bought those Kiss records and who was in the Army. I had my Kiss dolls. My Barbies dated Gene and Paul. My Barbies were not Malibu Ken Barbies. Gene and Paul came to the townhouse to take Barbie out in the camper for a date, just so you know.
Or out to the shed.
Or out to the shed. I don't know if I knew what the shed was back then, but my Barbies were going out on dates with Gene and with Paul. So again, the loose show, the tight band, and I've seen this, but I think it's super cool because you're kind of out front. And what I love in some of the video footage that I've seen is you're kind of looking at the guys in the band like, all right, guys, what are we going to do next? It's almost like Kiss back in the bar days, which, that's got to rejuvenate you and your rock and roll spirit, right?
Very much so. And it loosens the band up since we all know a lot of stuff. I can call out a song by almost anybody and we can jump on it. So literally if somebody yells out, hey guys, do you know Tush by ZZ Top? We look at each other, key of G, 2, 3, 4, boom,
wow. So fun.
Yeah, so much fun. And
so much fun.
Especially since, by the way, can you sing?
I believe I can. In my mind, I can.
All right. Can you play an instrument?
No. Cowbell. That's as good as I go. Cowbell.
Clapping hands is good.
Yeah, I can do that. Oh yeah, I have some rhythm.
Some moves.
I have some moves. I don't know if they're the best moves. I'm not going to say that, but I would give it a whirl. I would absolutely give it a whirl.
Let me guess. Without heels, you're 5'4".
You're too kind. Take 2 inches off of that, and and we'll break even. And we'll break even at 5'2".
I'm not able to take any inches off. Sorry.
All right. So let's talk about, I want to talk about these experiences because there's two that people can get. There's the base experience,
Yeah.
which is very cool for the fans. You meet up at, I have some of the logistics here. You meet up with the Gene Simmons Band, and they meet you, and you take home one of the great axes, the axe base, the Punisher base. You know, you've got that whole
Yep.
phenomenal collection, and then you personalize and sign things, and they get 4 items signed, and they get to bring 3 guests with them, and then of course there's the big kahuna.
Yeah.
And the big kahuna is the thing that everybody was talking about, the personal assistant and band
Well,
roadie for the day.
we're going to have the New York Times with us doing a special feature on what that is, because we only have one roadie, for my personal roadie for the day, and it ain't cheap. We already have. I don't think we have room for any more because I can't take care of more than one per show. When I was a kid and I went to see Hendrix or the Stones or anybody, you went to the concert, you enjoyed the song, and then you went home and you talked with your friends and everything. But what's it like having breakfast or lunch with Hendrix while he's getting ready to think, and then getting in the car, and then going to the show and helping set up the gigs and everything, and then during the show being up on stage and videoing stuff, and then getting pulled on stage and doing all that stuff. So I never had that experience, and I thought, why not? So, of course, the insurance companies, because I'm insured up to here about every which we can't turn around. If somebody gets a paper cut, everybody gets sued. So the insurance guy said, "Well, you can only do one there, because if the poor roadie for the day falls off the stage and everything, you're going to get sued. If he eats a sandwich and it's not good and he goes to the hospital, buddy, you're on the hook." So we're only doing one roadie per
One
show.
per show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Well,
it
which
ain't
I
cheap.
think
And it
that
ain't,
makes it more valuable. I think if
uh,
there's 30 roadies per show, I think the value can go
yeah.
down. I think when you're that one special person and they do everything with you that day.
All right, settle down. Not
Well,
everything.
you know what I mean. I mean,
Yes.
they do everything from the eating to the traveling to the gig.
Yeah.
But here's the thing I wanted to ask you, because they're part of Team Gene that day. So there's something that my dad used to call the scorch factor. So what if you end up getting like a scorchorama for one of these things? You know, somebody who's a real pain in the keister.
To me, a scorcher meant a hot chick.
No. This is not the scorch, not the good scorch.
Not the good scorch.
No, not the good scorch. So have you had, you could just say yay or nay, or I don't want to comment, but has there been a scorchorama on, somebody who's just
No.
always up in the grill?
No.
Good. I'm happy for that.
No, it's not. I don't suffer fools lightly, and respect and appreciation and gratitude is foremost at the top, because without the fans, I'd be asking the next person, "Would you like some fries with that?" So
That's what I love about you.
and
And
I'm
I
not
love it says like something like you will find Gene to be very down to earth, knowledgeable, and very giving on any subject. And I love that because I'm like, well, we've always known Gene was very down to earth and knowledgeable. But I like that it kind of says that in the fan experience too.
Well, you're doing wonders for my ego. It's growing as you speak.
And well, that's on your site, which I love. They want people to feel comfortable, I
Yeah.
guess, being around you and not literally like this the whole time.
Oh, I don't do anything. You got to remember, whether you're a pope or and the sad story about the pope passing, that's sad, but people in high places do the same things you do. Everybody poops, everybody farts, everybody does, and mine are megaton. The earth shakes, and sometimes in harmony.
But I love I love that you're giving the fans the experience. And I think it's really cool. And I'm happy that you talked about the logistics of insurance and liability and all that kind of stuff that comes along with all of this crazy stuff that you're offering.
Actually, I'm doing these shows more for SHITS and giggles.
Yeah, right.
I'm doing them for myself. saying
Correct.
about, by the way, there's no manager, there's no road crew, there's no nothing. It's just the band shows up. We have all the equipment. The nice promoters provide the backdrop and everything. There are no trucks. In the Kiss traveling circus, we had 60 road crew. Obviously, the jet,
Oh,
three
crazy,
double-decker
crazy.
buses,
Yeah,
20 tractor trailers.
crazy.
Just insane, like a small city traveling.
Yeah.
This is easy. We fly commercial. We get into the SUV, drive from one city to the other. Just like family. What was that Chevy Chase movie? Family
Yeah,
Vacation.
vacation. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Mean
it.
Gene, stripped down, baby.
All
He's
right, settle
coming
down.
to a town near you. I love it. I love it.
You should think about becoming a program director. You're very good.
I want to talk about the debut record because I
Yeah.
thought, you know what, if I ever have the opportunity to talk to Gene again, because I think it is one of the masterpiece records of all time. I listened to it differently than I did when I was a Kiss kid growing up. Also, when I got my first couple shots on rock radio, and even as a programmer, it's something it's a go-to record that I always go back to. And I'll tell you why, because when I hear it, I feel like I knew something great and different was coming. There's something that I hear in that record that I knew something was coming and I just didn't know what was coming. When you hear that record, Gene, what's the thing that you take away now listening to it?
I think probably it's the most honest record we've ever done. Doesn't have to be the best, but painters and artists talk about the honesty of innocence. Before you learn to do things like kids, the most honest art is when a small child dips into mud or poop, in the bathtub and starts, like creating imagery and stuff. That's the most honest expression of art before you know form and function and any of that stuff. So we didn't know anything about the recording process. We barely knew how to tune the instruments, and we sort of could write songs and based on our love of we were Anglophiles, loved the English version of what the Americans invented, which is rock and roll and blues, and became rap and all that. It all started here, but come on, the the English gave us the Beatles and Zeppelin and stuff, and we gave them the Grateful Dead. It's just leagues apart. Nothing American ever rose to that level with people that play guitar. Nothing, not even close. And when you list the top, I don't know, 10 bands of all time, they were all English
Yeah.
or Irish. Beatles and the Stones and the English Invasion and stuff, on and on and on. Amazing songs, and nothing like Bill Casey, light up your speed, nothing like that. And so we started writing songs like that, and not copying or anything, but within that vein. And it came easy. Paul and I were long, students of songwriting and the English bands and everything. The Kinks, oh my goodness, those early years, Waterloo Sunset, it was so simple, stripped of even production or you know, even where to put the snare. Here, we just wrote a song. Ray Davies comes in, you go, da 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 da. The guys go, okay, you start that, and then we'll come in later. Mick Avery go, da 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 da. Pop! Where to put that? Just one snare without the band or anything. It like hits you. It's so simple and defined. It's like a piece of meat with no fat.
Yeah.
And I got sidetracked because I love the sound of my own voice. And
And
then,
you're going back, and those
yeah,
moments moved you so much that this was your inspiration for
same
putting
thing.
together this
Yeah,
amazing record.
we wanted to. The thought behind those songs was we wanted to put together the band we never saw on stage. So on one hand, we had sort of this love of Anglophile music and those English bands, but then there was the sameness of if you didn't know much, you couldn't tell the difference between the Kinks or the Stones or the Beatles and everything. They all had basically the same hairstyle, the same age, same, you know. Except the Beatles, everybody sang, everybody was a star. That was a major, major difference.
Yeah.
And so we looked at the Beatles as a template.
Huh.
Wouldn't it be great
If everyone was a star.
if everybody sang lead? That was
Yeah.
like, wait a minute. In the Stones, it was Jack. In the Kinks, it was Ray Davies. Like on and on and on. Hey, Aerosmith, it's Steven. Nobody else sing. But in Kiss, everybody sings songs. Um, and that was, that was a thing that was appealing to us. Now putting that together, you have to go through auditions, and eventually we found the right mix. Those original guys. Having said that, sadly, not everybody is designed in their DNA to run marathons. Some people are just shooting stars. They just go for a little while.
Yeah.
And Ace and Peter were so perfect for the original lineup, but they just weren't designed to last 50 years.
Yeah.
So they were in and out of the band 3 different times.
Yeah. Yeah. When you were a boy, you talked about when you came to America, and this just kind of hit me because you were talking about getting the right components. And you said everything was so big. I mean, when
Yeah.
you came here, you were like 8 or 9 years
Oh,
old, and you said everything was big. I listened to an interview a while back with you where you said that, and you said everything, the food was big and the buildings were big and everything was big. Do you think that that's why you were so big on stage? Was there some component you took from being a young boy and seeing all of this bigness around you, and
sure.
then you in your performing life wanted to be big as well?
Sure. Combined with being raised by my mother, who's superwoman. My father sadly walked out on us when I was about 6 or 7 years of age, but that's sadly nothing unique. It is rampant. Almost everybody out there have broken marriages and everything. And most often the fathers just pick up and go. So I had nobody except my mother who raised me. And she is so strong. She was 14 years of age, and she was in a concentration camp in Nazi Germany and survived while our whole family was destroyed. Her mother, everybody. So imagine this young woman who didn't have anybody to turn to, no money, no nothing, and built herself up. She just rolled up her sleeves and alpha female all the way.
Yeah, I loved her. She was
And
so inspirational to see with
oh
you
my
over
God.
the years, whether it was Insta photos with your kids. And she seemed to be such a good, like, grandma and so happy with Gene as the family man. She was just a really special lady. I was sad when I heard that you lost her.
Yes, but she lived to be 94 years of age,
What a life. What a
and
life well
and
lived. Yeah.
and I was with her to the end, and we
Yeah.
sang the songs
Oh,
that she used to sing to me when I was a little kid in Hungarian.
oh,
Uh,
yeah.
I have photos of her everywhere I
Yeah,
go.
she
But
was she's such a sweet, sweet, sweet lady. But yeah, definitely the shaping of who you became as an
of
artist.
all of us,
Yeah.
the initial seeds that you put into the ground are the cornerstone of who and what you become. And then you're left with your own choices. And I know that I never got high or drunk and never smoked cigarettes exactly because my mother had such a horrible life. I never imagined myself putting my mother in a situation where I'd break her heart and she'd break down crying, disappointed in the child that she had, that she raised by herself, survived Nazi Germany, and brought up this kid who was disappointing to her. I wanted to make her as proud as anything you can, and so that was the cornerstone, and that helped me, by the way, survive the rock and roll wars. Because
Yeah.
look at all the, oh my God, the bodies on the side. One of the books I wrote was 27. The 27 Club.
Yep.
People may
Sure.
not realize it, is filled with the stupidest self-destructive behavior by the biggest stars in the
From
world.
every generation. It wasn't
Oh
just
my
a
God.
generation of 50 years ago or 60 years ago. It was from every generation. Well, that flips then into you as a
Yeah.
dad. I love seeing Nick and Evan together. That's got to be like so cool for you when
They're
I see those two
recording.
guys. I know they're
They're recording
incredible.
their first album with the producer of the year. It's like all of a sudden labels are all around them, and wow,
Their
they're both
harmonies are so cool together. They work
great.
so well together. So when you and Paul see these two guys, and I love the fact that, and I say this with much respect, it's they want nothing to do with Kiss. They've got their
Nope.
own things going on. They've got their own talents, their own path, their own everything. And I think that's that's the mark of being a great dad. And, you and Shannon have done a great job with your kids. But I love seeing the two of them together because it's so incredibly cool. Because, Nick is your clone. I mean, you guys are clones, really, of each other.
Wow.
Physically, you guys look a lot alike.
Well, I'm 6'2", but he's 6'8" and a
He's
half.
a he's a big guy. There's no
He's a
question.
big boy. I'll do a quick story. So I met his mother, Shannon. She was a Playmate of the Year at Playboy. And I
Not too
went to,
shabby, Gene. Not too shabby.
if only I wasn't gay. So, and you can't make jokes like that. Everybody, why? What's wrong with that? No, no, no. It's not. It's just a joke.
Shannon
So,
changed your life. I mean, she was the
well,
game changer.
I was the. You ever hear of the Royal Mounted Police? I was the Royal Mounter. Yeah. If it moved, just anything, all the stuff that you think guys do. So anyway, the short story is um, Nick is about 18 years of age, 18, 19, and Sophie, our wonderful daughter's a little younger, and we go to the Easter egg rolling thing at the Playboy Mansion, which
Right.
happened every year.
Legendary. Right.
Legendary. And all the playmates, the ones that got married and the new ones, just fields of beautiful women beyond anywhere else. Just almost like there's a sign: no unattractive women allowed. Just drop dead gorgeous girl. And all the girls are lifted and separated and pointed in your general direction. It's tough to look in anybody's eyes, but that's another story. And so we gather around, and Nick is nervous. He's at the age where he's trying to figure out how to pull chicks. And he goes, Dad, he's looking down because he's taller. Dad, what do I do? I said, well, we're going to introduce her to you, Hefner. This is where I met your mom. And she was, saying this. But they're going to be girls. What do I do? I said, well, you know what? Watch your dear old dad. I'll show you how to do it. You give him a little bit, like you go fishing. You put in little worms.
Show
Don't give
you
him too
how
much.
it's done.
You gotta make him come forward because they've got perfume and loud colors and lipstick and stuff and big hair, and they're doing all that, and they're expecting you to come over. That's what it's all based on. Da, 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 da. They're trying to make you come over so they can have their pick. No, no, you got to play the game and do the masculine part of that, which is, hey, how you doing? Just give him a little something, something. Just watch your dear old dad. So we go into the main thing, and Shannon, his mom, says, what are you going to do? You're going to embarrass your son? No, no, don't. Watch me. Just keep your eye on your dad. And sure enough, in the corner, something like 10 drop dead new girls that just came in who are going to be fold outs and stuff like that. And they've all got their little outfits, their Catholic girl outfits, where you can see the hoo ha and see what I did there. And the high heels and everything. They're all in the corner. And I'm going, Nick, watch this. Hey, how you doing? A little something, something. See how it's done, Nick? And then they all make the sound that turkeys make right before their heads are chopped off. That's how.
Oh my
And,
God.
and he's going, oh. And then, sure enough, they all, on the high heels, you can hear it on the marble floors. Tick, 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 start to come over. Yeah, watch this, Nick. And they come towards me, and then they part in the middle and go around me and corner Nick in the back. I'm yesterday's news.
Yesterday's
Like,
news, Gene.
what happened? Wait a minute. I'm kind of a big deal. Nope.
Nope.
Not
Nope.
that day. So did our son spend the night there? Yes, he did.
And you didn't even need to teach him because he has the same charisma that you
A little,
had.
a little. He's much kinder, much more self-effacing. I'm kind of brash and big, and who do you think you are kind of a guy. But he's much sweeter, and girls just flock to him. There were more than one famous, you'd recognize their name, cougars, who were reaching out to me and finding out if it's okay to take out my
I would
son.
think that they would have to get past Shannon before that. I think that she would be the mama
She's
cub right in the
she's
middle of that.
she's
Mama bear.
curious. She is curiously, it's one of the things that attracted me, real alpha female. Less concerned about that. No, no, I'm the
Are you the guy? Are you yeah.
I'm the pussy in the relationship.
Well, I loved on Family Jewels too. I always thought like no one puts Gene in his place ever. But the only people that really did that too were the kid. The kids were always, always had you wrapped a
Yeah.
little bit, in that. And I don't mean wrapped where you were giving them everything, but I meant more wrapped in like a heartstring kind
Oh
of thing
yeah.
where
But
Sophie was always putting you in your place and, Dad,
yeah,
no, this is the way
I
that we
was
got to do it.
I was the family's personal pinata. Everybody had their sticks, and I just swing back and and I can go back. Yeah, and you
I
need
love that.
well, you need that. You can't just walk out and everybody says, "Mr. Simmons, your table's here. Can I get you a back rub, a hot fudge sundae, or a lap dance?" You got to be able to come home and just say, "All right, get over yourself. It's not such a big deal."
I love that. Gene, it is always such an incredible pleasure to have you on. Cannot wait to see you at the Basie on Monday. And then, of course, at the Wellmont Theater in Montclair on Tuesday with the Gene
You
Simmons Band.
you need to be in the front row and yell at me. I want to
Yeah.
get up on stage, and I will pull you up.
You really will?
Man of my word.
On stage with the God of Thunder. The Kiss Kid in me is I'm speechless. I will see if you can see my 5'2" frame from the from your vantage point on stage.
Are you going to wear some heels?
But maybe a little heel, but even with a heel for me, I barely cut 5'5".
Well, then jump up and down. I'll see the head bobbing up.
You see my little head bobbing up and down?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show, and the band is incredible. And as always, I thank you so much for spending some time with me.